Good morning. I want to thank everybody for being here today, and I am very proud that we're going to make some announcements related to working for DC government. And I have been joined by our incomparable HR Director, Ventress Gibson, who will be here to talk specifically about our announcements and answer any questions that you have. Following our remarks, we will take some questions, and following that, we will have what is hard to believe, but it's going to be our third employee town hall about the budget. This will be an opportunity for DC government employees to talk to me and the city administrator and our budget director about fresh ideas that they have to improve service delivery in the district. Let me just say, from our earliest days, we have been focused on how we create more opportunities for DC residents to work in DC and to work for DC government. And I am proud that over the last 2 years, we have increased hiring for DC residents who apply for DC government jobs. And I am planning on introducing a piece of legislation that will help us do that even more. The Government Employee Residency Act will offer more incentives for people who become city employees. This legislation will provide student loan repayment assistance for select newly hired workers. The repayment program comes with an annual benefit of up to $10,000, and it would be applicable for 7 years. The bill also will allow DCHR to expedite hiring for hard-to-fill, non-competitive positions that have critical hiring needs. And Ventress will talk to you a little bit more about that. Lastly, the rules outlined in this legislation will simplify the process for confirming an applicant's residency. These important changes will allow us to continue to attract the best of the best to work for DC government. And so I am always looking forward to adding to our team, to attracting the best talent, and to retaining that talent to serve the residents of the District of Columbia. So let me introduce our HR Director, Ventress Gibson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good morning. We are delighted, excited, overjoyed, and really ready to move forward to ensure that the district always recruits, attracts, and retains the best and the brightest. And we know that we have the best and the brightest here in the district. One of the things we're looking at through this legislation is ensuring that DC residents who would need to apply for jobs with us have an opportunity for student loan forgiveness, as the mayor said, up to $10,000. We believe that these positions, which are sometimes hard to fill or those that we have a critical need in, is the second piece that we are offering. What is a hard to fill or a critical need position? A forensic scientist. In some cases, police officers. In some cases, statisticians, economists, or potentially other jobs where we have a hard time finding highly competent employees. Now, that being said, the district has these skill sets, but we want to be as competitive with our federal partners and our private sector partners, and this legislation does that for us. As to highly compensated employees, we have managers and other trusted agents that serve in leadership capacities for the district, and through $150,000 as far as an annual salary being the base, subject to mayoral changes appropriately, this is yet another opportunity for district residents or those who want to move into the district within 180 days who make $150,000, that employment would be available to them as well. What I'm really excited about as well is the last piece. And the fourth piece is, in the past, we've required 15 to 18 different documents to prove residency. We're now moving into the 21st century where through our driver's license for the district and through us verifying tax withholdings through our payroll system, we can then verify that. And why is that so critical today? Because when we apply for our license, we submit a number of these documents already. So why send people through it twice? So we're excited about that. We cannot wait because we believe through the Direct Connect events we've been sponsoring, and the next 3 Direct Connect events are all for district residents, that we believe that through these pieces of these parts of the legislation, it will in fact make a difference in the lives of our district residents from an economic perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Beatrice. So you have before you the several provisions that we are proposing to change related to how we attract and retain and hire DC government workers. So with the loan forgiveness program, the quick hire authority that we seek for hard to fill positions, as well as a DC residency requirement for highly compensated individuals. And what the director is very excited about is making sure that we streamline the process for people to substantiate their DC residency. Okay, I'm happy to answer any questions. We will estimate the cost, and let me have Beatrice talk to the cost estimates, mostly related to the loan forgiveness program.
Initially, we're going to, we've looked at from the district residency population, how many have college education, and 60% of DC residents have a college education degree. So as a result of that, we did an estimate of that based on our workforce, and in the end, we're going to submit a budget request to our city administrator that will give us a seed budget to start, probably nearly $1 million. After that, we want to see what it will grow to or how it will look in the end. Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Ms. Brazil?
I'd like to ask Ms. Gibson a question as well as you, Madam Mayor. We hear frequently about the problem of keeping and retaining our police officers, but there has been a growing exodus of experienced, seasoned DC government employees with institutional memory. I understand today you're announcing plans to recruit new employees, but what is your department and what is your government doing to retain DC government employees? And I will tell you that the voices are getting louder and louder that I hear, both in this building and in the departments and agencies, about people leaving district government for a variety of reasons.
Well, I will ask the director to talk to you about all of the ways that we invest in DC workers, because they clearly are the backbone of how we deliver services. And specifically, we know, just like every organization, we have a lot of people who are reaching retirement age. And so we have to not only concentrate, as you note, on how we recruit new workers, but we have to target and identify workers that we want to encourage to stay beyond their retirement years. Director?
I want to make sure you understand my question doesn't go just to the issue of retirement.
I know.
My concern is as regards people who are leaving because they find that the situation, some of the management situations in the district government is just intolerable.
We just, the mayor approved an initiative that we have rolled out to all of the agencies, which did not exist until we put forth the recommendation that she had given me wide latitude in studying why people stay, why people leave. And we partnered with the corporate executive board to do an automated exit survey on every employee that chooses to leave the district government. Now, unlike the past, under this administration, it's an automated tool. So we will be able to tell across all agencies why people leave. That's a plus. The second part of this is we have also looked at rolling out as part of the goals that the mayor has tasked me with this year, a broader employee engagement strategy, where we look to how can we position our agencies, how do we train our managers more effectively, how do we ensure that employees have a voice, such as through this town hall environment, to ensure that they raise questions, concerns, or issues. Separate from that, we also look at our benefits package to ensure that it's competitive. We look at the working environment through our partnership with our labor unions, as well as making sure we have other forms of feedback to the mayor, to myself, and to agency directors. The point being that in today's environment, when there is a war on talent, not only should you roll out items that recruit, but through development, we're doing career pathing so employees can chart a path for themselves. But I have to tell you that my experience in transitioning from another employer to the district, this is an employer of choice. And compared to our neighboring cities and local governments, our turnover is not as high as some would believe. We have a very good turnover that ensures, and it's less than 7%. That's wonderful. So I would say to you that while some may leave for one reason or another, the majority of our employees really have a heart and a service to not only the residents of the district, but to the jobs that they serve in.
Can I just add one question? You reference a war on talent. If you speak to many DC government employees across the board, whether or not in this building or other agencies, they frankly will tell you horror stories. They're thinking there's a war on them in terms of problems with their management. I would like to ask you, do you still have the policy and compliance unit within your department to deal with employee complaints and concerns?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Then the hard to fill category, how many positions are currently vacant in those categories, and where are the biggest holes?
I didn't bring that with me, but we certainly will provide that to our public affairs office.
I was just wondering, because is this are these incentives because you're having trouble filling
Yeah.
the positions?
Well, sometimes it's a national issue that's not just unique to us, but unique across the spectrum. So you always want to make sure when you are recruiting for science, technology, engineering, or math, what historically is called STEM, adding M for medicine, so it's STEM. We want to make sure that we have the same sort of competitive benefits package, salaries, et cetera, that other employers are. And to recruit and retain the best and the brightest from here in the district, we want our district residents who have these requisite skills to know that they have a landing spot with us.
The other big thing with that is that Ventris noticed that the time from recruitment to placement, if that's too long, that also makes us non-competitive. So we want to send the signal to the market that we are going to make that window of time between when we start recruiting and you're placed to be as short as possible. And so we want that word out as we're recruiting. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
How would the expedited hiring process differ from the current hiring process?
What am I exciting? How the expedited process looks is once we determine factually that the position is a critical need or hard to fill position, we do not have to post it. All we have to do is know where the skill sets are, and if the people come highly qualified with that skill set, they can be immediately appointed. That's what non-competitive means. Is this unique? Absolutely not. We are one of the few governments that don't do a direct hire. If you look to the federal government, they have direct hire for a multitude of occupations that's considered critical need and hard to fill. In this area, the federal government is our major competitor.
Can I just follow up on her question and then your answer? You said that for expedited hiring, you're going to not require vacancy be posted?
That's correct.
How do you avoid abuse by certain department heads and managers?
The decision is made within my office by my signature. So that's how I would control it.
You're going to personally approve every expedited hiring position?
For hard to fill, that's not going to be hundreds of positions. It's a few.
What are we talking about, a few hundred a year?
I'm not sure if it's a few hundred a year, but based on my last comparison, it's less than 3%.
What about employees who were hired in the last year or 2 years who wouldn't be able to avail themselves of this benefit? Is there any kind of phase-in or This is just for hires going?
This is for new hires going forward.
Tom?
The subject matter.
Yes.
You expressed your support for paid family leave. You did not sign the bill passed by the council. Now the chairman says he will rework the financing of it. What do you want to see have you talked to the chairman, and what do you want to see in a revised paid family leave bill?
Well, first, Tom, I think it's heartening that the council recognizes that there's a lot of problems with the bill, and certainly it has always been my focus that we get a better bill, and so I am pleased to start that conversation with the council.
As I understand it, there will be no changes in the benefits, but simply how it's financed. Is that okay with you?
Well, the way I understand it is that they're presenting a couple of bills that are going to be debated. And we know the last time they went through this for 14 months that there were a lot of changes. So I don't want to commit to anything until we can begin that conversation.
Then you'll weigh in on it with your own views. You will.
Absolutely.
Now, that's the second question. Actually, it's the third or fourth. Your response today to the Washington Post editorial page, which has basically supported most of everything you've done and supported your election, and it called you feckless on this issue. That's a person without character.
Well, I think that the description of saying, obviously, I wouldn't agree with that. I think that they kind of want their cake and eat it too. And that's to suggest that should we work towards a better bill, or should we just focus on a fight? Now, I choose to work to a better bill and have my conversations with the council be about getting to paid leave and getting a better bill, rather than focusing on a fight between the mayor and council.
Another topic, Mayor, the Zika issue with the Forensics Department. Has anyone been relieved of duty, been fired over this issue? Have there been any disciplinary actions or fallout on that level?
No.
Okay. The previous director, do you know how this came about, that the previous director didn't spot?
Well, I know that the staff at the crime lab noticed the problem, identified the problem, alerted the public to the problem, and are addressing the problem.
Is there anything you want to say to make the residents feel better that do we think this is very small? There's two so far.
I think that the residents should be assured that we have crime lab officials who went and noticed the problem, didn't hide it from them, but addressed it head on and are dealing with the problem.
When was your office alerted about it?
Aaron, I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head.
Thank you.